Time is now 3 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's Tulare County Water Commission meeting. We're going to obviously have a very important member of our meeting running a little bit late. So when she gets here, we'll be able to get to her specific items. But at 1, we're going to call the meeting to order. Number 2 is public comment. But before we get there, let's go ahead with introductions. I know we have a couple of new faces. Blaine, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, my name is Blaine Sutherland. I'll be representing District 5. So I'm District Athletic Director for Berkeley School District.
Interested in water?
Oh yeah. So yeah, grew up in agriculture and stuff. Always been interested in water and just the water policy.
Cool. Welcome. Welcome. And go ahead. You want to. If you press the red button on the corner of your screens, or the black button, it'll turn red when your microphone's live. Then you can go ahead and turn on a mic for yourself.
Trelawney Bullis, representing District 1. I work for AC Foods as their water resources manager, so I live and breathe water 24/7.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome very much. Happy to have you here. And Mike, go ahead. You want to introduce? No, I'm just kidding. You don't need it. We all know who you are, Mike Washington. All right. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Jeff Wilson from Exeter.
Okay. Please go ahead and step up to the microphone, Jeff.
Jeff Wilson, I'm here from Exeter City Council.
Okay.
Here for Vicky Riddle.
Oh, okay.
Standing for her backup today.
Okay. Where do we have Vicky's name tag up there? You get to be Vicky today? No, we don't have a name tag for you yet. Do you want to sit up here with us? Okay. Well, Vicky's representative is here, so it's up to you. Wherever you want to sit, you can come up here and sit right next to Mike if you want. You can officially feel like you're. Yeah. See, now you get to be a part of it. All right. Great. So now we're going to move on to item 3. Just point out for the record that there are meeting minutes from our April 14th, 2025 Water Commission meeting located at the following web address. Drought update. Elva. Do you want to go ahead and cover that? Did Denise give you any notes or not? No, you don't need to. I'm just kidding. I'm just really throwing you out there. So Denise isn't here specifically for that. Do we have a presentation from David? Okay, so David will be here next month. Okay, Ross, do you have anything you want to present on today?
Good.
While we're waiting? Okay. Well, Denise has really got all the water information for us here, and so we're going to wait until she gets here. I guess we could take up commissioners' comments. Does anybody have any comments for the good, bad, or otherwise of the order? Mike, you usually have something, economic development and anything? Wow, okay, so even Mike Washington's quiet today. All right, so...
I'll say this, though. I left after Denise, so I don't know where Denise is.
Okay, well that's, so maybe you know how to drive better. Okay, yeah, and we don't, legislative subcommittee, anybody serve on that? Rogelio, do you?
We didn't meet.
Didn't have a meeting,
but,
okay.
I did want to add something for commissioners' comments.
Okay, great.
Just wanted to let those interested be aware of the Tulare Subbasins having an MLRP workshop tomorrow, June 10th from 4 to 7 p.m. It's going to be at the International Ag Center's conference room, 4500 South La Spina, here in Tulare, for all those who are interested. And that is looking for some solutions for landowners and land repurposing, obviously with the wake of Sigma and everything, and wanted to be able to present on that and get stakeholder input as we start developing a program for the greater Tulare Subbasin.
Okay, perfect. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, so I've done all the stalling that I can, Denise. Actually, we got, let's see, we talked about commissioners' comments, legislative subcommittee, there was no meeting, and we've got the meetings minutes noted. So you are on for item 4, the drought update.
have our 2025 well permits issued through May 31st. So as of May 31st, there were 160 permits issued with a net of 115. That's taking out the destructions. And we're still on a downward trend from a couple of years ago. We are still, I believe we're still considered dry conditions, but not as severe as we've been in previous years. I'm happy to answer any questions on that. I don't see any.
Do we have any 2024 numbers or not? Because there's 22
you know
and
what?
23 here.
We probably do. We can make that. I was thinking 22 seemed really far behind.
I messed up. I'm sorry about that. I should, I don't know, maybe it's an old.
I mean,
Yeah.
seeing 22, 23, great compared to now, but
Yeah.
having 24 to fill in that gap from the last calendar year, and then obviously we can see what the trend is looking like and extrapolate from year to date 25.
Yep, good catch. We will update that. And if it's okay, 22 will go away. It'll slide, 23 will slide up, and then 24.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can maybe we'll look at like a graph or something even that
Or
would
even
show.
if you made the 25 the same size.
Okay,
And because when you blow it up on the big screen, so then you could have the 4 different calendar years on there.
sure. And I think the point here is that as we move forward and as SIGMA's implemented, we probably will continue to see a decline in well permits. Oh, sorry. Any other questions on that slide?
Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
Okay.
Drought update. We don't have updated information on tanks and hauled water. I think I mentioned last month that self-help has been notified by the State Water Resources Control Board that both the tank and hauled water program and the bottled water program are slated to be transferred over directly to the state board. So self-help's local program will go away. State board will fund it directly within their organization. We have a lot of concerns about that. One of the provisions state board is taking away is the 72-hour response time. So currently, if somebody calls in with a dry well, they're able to get bottled water within 72 hours. State board's not going to hold themselves to the same standard. And so our fear, of course, is that there will be households out of water for longer. I believe at last count, we had in the neighborhood of 300 tanks. We've got a few drought programs that are extending water service in the West Goshen area, in the Avenue 266 Harrison Road area, along with some others. Those communities do have tanks currently, so those problems will be addressed, but areas like Hypericum, Dogtown, which is out by the road yard, that community has a longer term solution. We also have a lot of just private home, kind of not around anything else, is a lot of our tanks. So concerns all the way around with that.
So specifically on the Hypericum community, I know I just left the Greater Korea meeting that we were having, and that we just approved for an individual well to be drilled to address a lack of water from declining groundwater, and so that's our well mitigation strategy at the Greater Kauai, but we are not working on any long-term fix separately in terms of the county or, because it's being done, a lot of our work's being done in collaboration with self-help as well.
Right. And Hypericum specifically has been a community that we've kicked around a lot. They're just not close to another existing water system, except the water system that's at the road yard, but the water system that is at the road yard is currently serving the road yard, animal services, and the fire station, so it's not big enough really to provide.
That's a pretty long distance.
And it is a long distance as well. And so there hasn't been, aside from having another new small community water system, which also isn't ideal, there hasn't really been a lot of sustainable solutions identified for that community. And I know the Greater Kuya was looking at, instead of replacing every one of those wells, or there were multiple dry wells in that community, and so instead of replacing each one of those, what might be a better long-term solution. I don't know where Cal Water is relative to that community. I know they've gone as far east as Track 92 near Farmersville, but maybe not that far south. But that may be an option to explore, especially as Visalia kind of grows in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's, at the Greater Kuya, they basically said that longer term, larger scale solution is 10 to 20 years out.
Wow, okay.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Legislative Subcommittee.
So we had a meeting, only one.
Oh, Rogelio.
Rogelio came to the meeting. So it wasn't really an official meeting, but it was, we did meet. At some dates that are coming up, we have another meeting on July 2nd scheduled. We are approaching some deadlines for bills to make it out of the House of Origin to be approved in this first year of the 2-year window. These are the bills that we discussed. The Legislative Subcommittee had previously discussed several of these as well. So the recommendation, which is unofficial because we didn't really have an official meeting, we had an unofficial meeting because we didn't have a quorum, is in bold. So AB 293 is relative to the Form 700s that you all fill out here that I know you all enjoy and love. It would transfer those requirements well, it already requires, there was a bill last year that required the board members of a GSA to also fill out a Form 700. This bill takes it a step further and requires those forms to be published on a website that the GSA, which is really far beyond what the rest of us that have to file Form 700s have to do. Those of us in the county that file them, they don't get published anywhere. We just file them, and I guess people could ask for them if they wanted them. But this really kind of takes it a step further. So the subcommittee recommended a watch position on this one. Happy to answer any questions, or I can just kind of run through the list and we can go back to what we want to talk about, whatever your pleasure is.
Questions, comments? Okay, go ahead and talk about them.
AB 362 adds to the definition of beneficial use tribal water uses. I think a lot of folks that have weighed in on this have said that is implied, but this would make it official, and then it would require the incorporation of tribal water quality standards into key decisions. So it would add another layer of review. So they also recommended a watch on this one. I happened to be at a committee hearing where this one was heard, and I think it was focused, targeted for a Northern California, like a more northern river system, but I'm not sure what impacts it may have in our area. The farther south you come, the fewer rivers we actually have. Yeah. So questions, comments on that one? AB 1044 is being carried by Assemblywoman Macedo, and it's specifically for the Tulare East Groundwater Sustainability Agency. This would take the place or overlap partially with the Eastern Tulare Groundwater Sustainability Agency following the mass exodus of other public agencies. And so since the county wrote this one, we're recommending a support position.
It's pretty creative naming, Tulare East.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say the Pete Vanderpool GSA.
No, but, don't put my name in it. Call it the Dennis Townsend GSA. Don't put my
yeah.
name on that one.
Okay, and then I have a little bit more information on that one a little later when we get into Sigma updates. AB 1413, it's more about, it's for groundwater adjudications, looking at GSPs versus when Sigma was written, GSPs would look at adjudications, but it's kind of the reverse now that some of these groundwater basins are going into adjudication proceedings. So we recommend a watch since it doesn't really impact us directly. It's more a Southern California issue, it sounds like, but we listed it out there. 1466 is similar to 1413, so same, we recommend a watch.
Okay.
One more slide, I think. Yeah, one more slide. Oh, come back. SB 72 revises requirements for the California Water Plan. So this is something that gets developed, I believe, every 5 years. And so it would require DWR to develop a long-term water supply planning target for 2050. California Water Plan is something that, like I said, every 5 years it gets updated. How important the document is a bit of a question mark, but we recommend a watch status on that. SB 224 requires DWR to adopt a new water supply forecasting model. This has more to do with precipitation and holding open meetings to talk about the model and how that impacts DWR's operational decisions. I think those of us that have been in the water forecasting, well, not really forecasting, but the water, like asking the same question, I don't even know that this is possible just because the data a lot of times doesn't exist, but it's a good, it's a good idea, I guess. But so we asked for a watch position on that one as well. And then SB 454, it's here on this, and it continues to this bullet over here. So this is relative to PFAS mitigation. It establishes the fund, but it doesn't actually put money in the fund. And so typically when that happens, we recommend an opposed position and ask that they actually identify the money that's supposed to go into this fund rather than developing a fund that there's no money to go into. And then SB 599 makes changes to the authority to divert flood flows. And these, I think the oppose is because it still requires, there's still restrictions on diverting the flows, such as using fish screens and meeting other endangered species requirements. And if it's truly a flood flow, it should just be dealt with, I think is what the thought was there. So we asked for a watch or oppose position.
Okay.
And that concludes that update.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Sure, go ahead.
So I know that Tulare County is a large farming, obviously, ag county. Do you look at what the Farm Bureau stance is on any of these when taking these into consideration?
Sometimes. A lot of times we will get information directly from Farm Bureau on some of these bills. And I did get information for one, but it didn't really apply to the Water Commission. So I think it had more to do with the AAC, the Ag Advisory Commission or Committee. But we also look at ACWA, which is the Association of California Water Agencies that typically also has an ag lens to see their positions as well.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that's all the comments from the commissioners.
All righty.
So now we'll move on to staff reports. Item A, Sigma implementation.
Well, I would just like to draw your attention to this beautiful map of the pending Tulare East GSA boundary. So just to sort of illustrate the challenge that we're having and the reason for the AB 1044 legislation. So the light green is the existing Eastern Tulare GSA. So the new boundary would be the light green minus all the colors, except for the Ducor Water District here in the south basin and the Kern Tulare Water District. So all these little islands and this area around all these other little districts, that is the new boundary that's being proposed for that GSA. And it's not, I don't think it's the preference of the county to go that route. It's the position that we are left in.
Give me an update on that, Rogelio, or is that gonna stay where it is? Okay,
It's outside of my hands,
Yeah.
but that, I can kind of speak to the area, to pretty much that area. It's just any area that is not covered by another jurisdiction that would be implementing CINVA. In this case, it would be the water districts that have already either filed or already become exclusive GSAs with, DWR, the city, which has basically been providing water services for its coverage area. It's in the city of Porterville, at least within eastern Tulare, extends beyond the city limits. We've actually
Yeah.
recognized their urban development boundary. So those are just kind of some of the things, but this includes pretty much all the county area, unincorporated areas, and what we identify as a wide area.
and then Ducor, Kern Tulare, is Hope's.
I'm sorry, it's Ducor and Hope, not Kern Tulare. Kern Tulare is a
Okay.
standalone, I'm sorry.
Okay,
It
Kern
would be
Tulare
this-
standalone, so it
Yeah.
is Ducor, because that's what I was
And
gonna
Hope,
ask, I thought
yeah.
Hope was in
Yeah,
too.
sorry, I misspoke.
And then we're still awaiting, Porterville ID, or-
Porterville ID has already done what they're going to do. The city of Porterville was looking to partner with Porterville ID, and that did not work out. So right now, I think the city's choices are either to become their own standalone GSA, which they very well may, or we could include them in this effort. But I haven't heard anything from the city of Porterville either way.
okay,
I think their position has been that they're net water neutral. So if they follow the logic that all the others have followed, is they would also receive the good actor provision and pretty much be okay Sigma-wise.
okay. All right, well, if there's nothing further there, then we will move on to talk about any other Sigma implementation
Yeah, I
items
would
for
just
other
note that the
GSAs?
the Cahuilla Subbasin, all of their GSPs were sent back to the Department of Water Resources, which, and the state board also issued a press release saying they're released from probationary status at this time, so they can go back to DWR to get their GSPs approved. So they appear to have avoided probationary status, which is great news.
That's great.
But that's all that I had.
Questions or comments, Rogelio?
I could briefly, just on behalf of the Tulare Subbasin. So the Tulare Subbasin GSAs have been meeting with state board staff regarding some of the items that they had found inadequate, as well as some of the comments that were provided at the probationary hearing last September. And we've seen a lot of progress on a lot of these things. So we're
Good.
hoping that as we meet with them, we are still getting further along, even with, in our meetings with state board staff, even though we've obviously been very straightforward about what's been happening with the Eastern Tulare. We've been talking to them and assuring them that our member agencies are still coordinating through us with the rest of the sub-basin to make sure that we're still coordinated and still on the same page on a lot of these things.
Okay.
So we're still moving forward on that, and I'm glad to see that a lot of the meetings recently with state board staff have been really productive, and we hope to get somewhere to keep us going along that path and getting us off the path of probation and getting GSPs hopefully eventually approved.
Okay. Sure, go ahead, Dominic.
I think I asked last time, but I can't remember. On the Eastern Tulare GSA, there's some little islands for the Kern Tulare. How do they connect?
They don't.
They don't connect.
So those have been that way for a while, because Kern Tulare left 2 years ago?
Years ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And are those just landowners maybe in the more contiguous area that may have separate parcels outside, or is that just, they're just kind of one-off situations?
some of them are contiguous, some of them are one-off situations, I think,
Okay.
that they have that they just have out there.
We have a similar issue just outside of Pixley, where there was like a donut within the Pixley Irrigation District, and so that came to the Tulare County GSA, and then we entered into an MOU with Tri-Counties to manage that area, and it's not contiguous, it's an island, but they fall under their GSP as a management area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Won't that same problem exist north of Porterville? That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, this is not the way, the county really led the effort to create the Eastern Tulare GSA when SIGMA was passed, and the goal was really to have as few GSAs in a subbasin as possible, especially subbasins like ours that don't have any real geologic separation of groundwater because it all needs to be managed jointly. However, State Board opened a door, lots of people ran out that door, and until, you know, I mean, I could see at some point in the future, once probation's been avoided and things are being managed and maybe even the subbasins reach sustainability, that folks start to see some synergy in just managing everything more cohesively, but for
And
right now,
efficiencies.
yeah, yeah.
I could speak a little bit, just having managed the Eastern Thule. You do see kind of the whole east side, you do see a lot of pockets. If you look at just like Terabella, there's holes in between TBID. What we did, like with the city within their management zone, any parcels that were irrigated, they basically had us manage like they were white area. So we managed every parcel within the Eastern Thule on a parcel basis and identified them if they are within a particular jurisdiction, like a district, therefore they're eligible to using surface water. If they're part of the city, they are part of the city's management and not part of any of the rules that we've established for the rest of the GSA. So the way we've done it is basically through just on an individual parcel basis to make sure that there's no mix-up and mess-ups when you start going through jurisdictions.
All right. Anybody have anything else from any of the other GSAs? Okay, then we will move on now to commission terms.
I believe we've received applications for all of the ones that expired in April, is that correct? And have we got the reappointments back from the board? Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't, Commissioner Snyder's not here today, so I didn't know if we got hers or not too. But I think we're good, and I don't believe anybody owes any Form 700s.
Wow.
Yeah, so good job. I should have brought cookies or something.
Yeah, so commission requirements is done now too. That's
Yeah.
great. Okay. So we already did the commissioner's comments section, but if anybody has any comments that they just thought of right now or in the last few minutes. Okay. On to future agenda topics. I know that I've been working with Elva to try to get David DeGroot's
Yes, so I think
scheduled.
we have a commitment as of last week for him to come to the July meeting for the Tulare River, settlement thing.
Settlement,
Yep.
yeah. Perfect. Any other ideas for future agenda items?
I thought we had one more, but I don't recall.
Okay. Well, we've got that presentation lined up, so that's good for July's meeting. On to item 9. Our next meeting will be July 14th, and I look forward to a riveting presentation from both our very own Denise England, as usual, and David DeGroot. So on now to, let's see, how about Rogelio's favorite item on every Water Commission agenda? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for attending today. See you July 14th.